There's more to necromancy magic than just summoning legions of undead to do your bidding. Truly, it's just about bringing destruction to all who would stand in your way, and while your undead minions certainly help achieve that goal, there are a plethora of other necromantic spells that can help you achieve the same thing. So today, I'm ripping a page out of the book that may be both vile and dark, and talking about 5 must-have necromancy spells that you may or may not have heard of. Starting off with the first spell for today, we have Spirit Shroud. This 3rd level spell calls forth spirits of the dead that circle around you for up to a minute, during which any attack you make against a creature within 10 feet deals an additional d8 of damage. This damage can be either cold, radiant, or necrotic, so it's pretty versatile. But the icing on the Spirit Shroud cake is that whenever creatures take damage from this bonus damage, they cannot regain hit points until the start of your next turn. Legendary resistances can't help them. If they take damage, there's no healing for them. But this spell also has another cherry on top of the icing that we just talked about. If a creature starts their turn within that 10-foot radius, they also have their speed reduced by 10 feet until your next turn. And that's an important discretion because this isn't just difficult terrain, this is a flat movement speed reduction. So if you ever needed to shut down an enemy or multiple enemies, take a look at Spirit Shroud because this spell has it all. But moving on, we have arguably the most powerful spell on today's list, and that would be the cantrip Chill Touch. Create a ghostly skeletal hand in the space of a creature you can see within 120 feet and make a ranged spell attack against them. On a hit, you deal 1d8 necrotic damage that scales with level and assaults the target with the Chill of the Grave. That's pretty much flavor speak for they can't regain hit points until the start of your next turn. This means that a cantrip, one of the spells you can cast literally once every 6 seconds for absolutely free, can stop a deity from healing. Is that an extreme example? Well, yeah, you didn't look like you were buying the whole most powerful spell on today's listing, so I had to go big. But as crazy as it sounds, that's how the spell works. Let's turn this around though and exemplify it a little bit better. You just went down and you're making death saving throws. The evil lich chill touches you, and then the cleric casts Healing Word. Guess who's still making death saving throws? If you are brought to 0 hit points and you are affected by chill touch while down, you cannot stabilize unless 1. Someone succeeds on a medicine check to stabilize you, 2. You pass 3 death saving throws, or 3. Oddly enough, the other necromancy spell, Spare the Dying, is cast upon you, which in itself is a touch action and effectively the same thing as a successful medicine check. In combat, an ally can't always get to you and spend their turn stabilizing you. And that's kind of a scary thought, right? Just keep hitting someone with the spell, and no matter what, they're gonna go down eventually. And at this point, if you are not sold on Chill Touch, I'm just convinced you're not listening. Seriously, if you're on the lookout for a consistent and powerful cantrip, there are few better than Chill Touch. Next up, we move away from combat with this 3rd level spell, Speak with Dead. This spell, oddly enough, allows you to speak with the dead. It grants a dead creature intelligence enough to answer 5 questions. That creature pretty much maintains all the knowledge they had in life and can utilize that knowledge to answer any questions you ask. However, a creature is not required to give you a truthful answer if you had wronged it. Depending upon how you handle the situation, Speak with Dead can be one of the best information gathering spells in the entire game. However, it is very much worth noting that it is one of those spells that is heavily dependent upon the type of game that you're playing in. If you have a DM that flies by the seat of their pants, you can catch them off guard. But if you have a DM that really likes to mess with their players, this spell can lead to some of the best and honestly most rewarding information in the game. So if you ever need to gather some less than accessible information, Speak with Dead is the ideal option to add to your spellbook. And a quick honorable mention before we move on to the spell Revivify. Yes, Revivify is a necromancy spell. I wanted to include this as a must-have, but didn't want to commit an entire section to it because, well, we all know what Revivify does. But anyways, the 4th spell for today is a personal favorite spell of mine and one that I talk about frequently, the 2nd level Wither and Bloom. You invoke both death and life within a 10-foot radius at a point you can see within 60 feet. Each creature of your choice must make a Constitution saving throw, taking 2d6 necrotic damage or half as much on a successful save. But that's not all. Alongside that damage, you can choose one creature within that area, and that creature gets to roll one of their hit die and heal the amount plus your spellcasting ability modifier. This is one of those spells that just feels good when you cast it. It fits the theme of necromancy perfectly, playing with the whole ideas of life and death. You're literally siphoning life essence from a creature and using it to rejuvenate one of your allies. With it dealing comparable damage to other second level spells, and the added bonus of healing one of the melee party members, it's really easy to see why this is one of my favorite spells. So if you've ever struggled choosing between healing or dealing damage, worry not, because Wither and Bloom is there to take the struggle away. And finally, we move on to the last spell, which I really struggled with. There are a bunch of staple necromancy spells like Animate Dead, Inflict Wound, Finger of Death, Blight, but those are all so popular, literally everyone would expect them. And I am nothing if not a slave to my own need for being unexpected. So the last necromancy spell isn't going to be any of those great spells, but is instead going to be a pretty good spell called Ray of Sickness. You send out a ray of sickly green energy to lash at a creature within 60 feet, making a ranged spell attack. On a hit, the target takes 2d8 poison damage and must make a Constitution saving throw or become poisoned until the end of your next turn. The spell, while seemingly worse than other spells I mentioned, does have the added benefit of potentially poisoning an enemy. And this condition can make a huge difference in an important battle, because poisoned creatures have disadvantage on all attack rolls and ability checks. It is worth noting that poison damage is statistically the most resistant damage type and condition in 5e, but I didn't say every spell was perfect. But if you do decide to pick this spell up, consider pairing it with the Poisoner feat to give it some extra oomph. But that's it for 5 must-have necromancy spells, and before I finish, I want to give a huge thank you to our YouTube members and patrons. If you see any of these names in the comments below, be sure to give them a thumbs up. Also, if you think I missed any must-have necromancy spells, leave a comment below and let me know. I read every comment, almost always reply, and who knows, I might even feature your comment in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you on Friday.